Hi, I want to put this up as an apology because I recorded the video. So it's an hour and 17-minute long video where I'm talking about the chart rulers. But in the video, I had the video up on the screen where you take a picture. So there is a blue square around my face, and I know it's so totally distracted, and I apologize for that. And so hopefully you can tolerate it. I don't know what we could visualize to help you with that blue square, but I think the information is really powerful. So if you had to not look at my face and just listen to it, then great, but next one will be better. So thanks for bearing with me. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lateesha, and you can find me at lateesha.com. Originally, I had my website at lateeshabynumhinton.com, but I have made some changes. So if you are looking for me there, if you have my old cards or my old information, it has changed to lateesha.com, and that's where you can find me. And if you would like to have a reading with me, you can find me there. My focus in my readings is for you to tap into your higher self. We take a look at the birth chart, and in the birth chart, we look at the areas of strengths, of course, and then we look at the challenging areas. We look at the aspects, the squares, the inconjunctions that may be happening to the major players, in particular the chart ruler, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the chart ruler and the impact that those challenging aspects can have in your life, on your relationships, on your finances, in every area of your life, and your thought patterns, and anything you can think of, your relationships with children, love relationships. If the chart ruler is afflicted, then it can have a huge impact in your life. So with my work, again, my focus is to look at the things that we have here, that we've been blessed with here in the earth, to help heal the aspects that are challenged, and to bring balance and alignment within you. And so we do that by, again, looking at the chart ruler, finding out what challenging aspects are happening with a fellow planet or sister planet. And then we work with herbs, we work with the crystals, we work with meditation, and I create a meditation, a custom-made meditation based on you, your chart, your numerology, your astrological chart, your numerological chart, what is happening there, who you are called to be, your life path, your personality number, your expression number, and take all of that into account, and create a guided meditation for you for the areas in your life that you find challenges in. Okay, so if you are interested in something like that, my fee is $120 for that. That includes the 60-minute reading of the chart and looking at the numerology that you have been blessed with. And then from there, I'm looking at the challenging aspects. It is about counseling. It is about finding the beauty that you have and bringing that forth, okay? So that's what I have to offer. If you're interested, check me out, Lateesha.com. Now, so for today, I want to talk about the chart ruler. Okay, so what does that mean when we talk about the chart ruler? I took my glasses off because it's such a terrible glare. So, and I need my glasses. But I don't want you to be distracted by the glare. So I have here a chart, and this is just, like a little template. So it's got the first house all the way through the 12th house. And of course, in astrology, that's what we're looking at, the 12 houses. And each of the house placements represent an area of your life that is impacted by the sign that is in that particular house. And each sign has a ruler. It has a planetary ruler, okay? And the ascendant is when you were born, the most eastern part of the sky, the most eastern part is represented by the ascendant that is in your particular birth chart. And when you hear astrologers ask for the birth time, it is so that they can mark the ascendant. So when we see the ascendant, we see the body that you chose to come into the earth realm at this particular time. All right, that's what we see when we are looking at the ascendant. So, with the ascendant, whatever sign that is on the ascendant has a particular ruler. And so whichever planet is the ruler of that ascendant sign, rules your whole chart. So what does that mean? It means that that ruler, whatever is happening in the sky, whatever transiting planets are happening, and they are touching or having an influence on the ruler of that chart, that is going to affect your life in a major way. All right. And so this is one of the ways that when you talk about predictive astrology, it is from the ascendant that when you read the horoscope in the newspaper, or if you are a person who listens to the horoscopes being read, they are typically reading it from the ascendant sign. Okay. Of course, there is the moon sign, the sun sign, all of that, right? But the ascendant represents the body that your soul chose to come into in this particular incarnation. Okay. And whatever that chart ruler is doing in the chart, and however it is being affected by the planetary alignments that are happening in the sky from day to day, week to week, month to month, it is going to impact your life in a huge way. So why do you need to know this? So that you can be prepared. Forewarned is forearmed. Knowledge is power. So that I think like the major thing for me oftentimes is that people feel like um, things are just happening, like we are in this earth and things are happening and we are victim too. But and that's a terrible way to think. Like we are working uh in tandem with the planetary energies. Things are happening. Our souls chose to come, and we have a contract that we entered into, an agreement to come here at this time in this body, and to have the experiences that we are having, so that our souls can grow and evolve, so that we can complete what we need to complete for the evolution of our own individual souls. And so everything down to the rising, the moon, the sun, every planet, every aspect that is happening in that chart is here to help us evolve, to help you evolve. And so the transits that are coming, even though they may be challenging, even though there are stark wake up calls, we are not left abandoned. The beauty that we learn, the more that we understand astrology, this ancient tool, astrology, numerology, um, We understand the tarot. We understand the principles of Hermes. Uh, we understand that we are here on the earth, and there again are so many tools, so many spirit guides, angels that are here to help us go through even the challenging aspects, so that once we come through them, we come over them, then we are stronger, better, wiser, right? Able to not only help ourselves, but help our families, our children, and other people that have been assigned to our lives to help guide, to help teach. And so that's the beauty of understanding what is happening in the chart. So when we talk about chart rulers, I'm going to go through all of the signs, and I'm going to go through the planetary rulers of each of the signs. Okay, so the physical body is what we are talking about when we talk about the ascendant sign. Okay, so the physical body plays a huge part. It carries the soul, right, throughout the whole lifetime. It is the vehicle for the soul and the vehicle for the mind. And once we leave this body, which we will leave this body, right? When it is time, once we have reached that point, then we don't have the ability to have the earthly experience of touch and taste and feel and sight, all right, and hearing, okay, and in the way that we do in this physical body. And so when we look at the ascendant sign, again, the physical body, and that is why that the sign and the planet is the chart ruler. The body definitely cannot be ignored. It is that energy of that chart ruler, the energy of that sign is infused into the body. And I think a lot of times it is minimized by many people, and for sure not understood the power of the ascendant sign and the chart ruler, because we in the Western society we typically just focus on the sun, but when we do that we are definitely missing out on important truths. I'm going to start the chart rulers by explaining the signs that they rule. So the first sign that I want to start with, I made some notes here, and I'm going back to the glasses. So we're going to start with Mars. So for Mars, Mars rules two signs. Mars rules Aries and Mars rules Scorpio. Okay? So if Mars is the ruler of your chart, okay, we're talking about the ancient rulers. The ancient rulers. So we have the modern rulers, Uranus and Neptune and Pluto. But for the purposes of this, I want to focus on the ancient rulers of the chart. So if you are a Mars ruled individual, you are ruled by your rising sign is Aries or Scorpio, one of the two. And I find that it is so interesting when we study the planets, because each of the ancient planets except the moon and the sun rule two signs. Each of these planets have a masculine, okay, way of communicating, a masculine way, a feminine way of exemplifying themselves, showing themselves, moving, There is a feminine and a masculine energy to all of the signs, except the moon and the sun. Okay. And so when we understand that, we understand that Mars, ruler of Aries, there is this masculinity that is shown in Aries, because Aries is fire. All right. And Scorpio is water. Okay. So Aries is extroverted. Fire is extroverted. It is moving out. It is taking action. It is moving out impulsively. So Mars rules action. Mars rules the ability to self actualize. Okay. Move the body forward. So when we have Aries on the ascendant, you have a person who likes to move the body, to go out, to climb rocks, to have all of these experiences. They get bored easily. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It marks spring. When we think of Mars, we think of Aries. It is symbolized by the ram. And when you look at rams, there is this masculine energy that is fighting, that is showing, with the horns, bucking. And when two rams get together to fight over the female ram that they want to be with, they will fight to the death. There's no stopping until death happens. So the horns are crashing, there's so much power. So this is the energy that we see in an Aries rising person. This is a type of energy that is being brought forth through the body, through the body. And Mars, again, is the chart ruler in this situation. So everything that is happening in the life of the Aries rising person, Mars, whatever is happening with Mars, if there is a planetary, has something happening in the sky where there is a square to Mars, that Aries ascendant person is going to be affected by that square. Square to Saturn happening to the Mars rule chart person, Aries rising person. They're going to come up against some restrictions in their movement of their life. Could happen in any area of the life. We need to look in the chart and see where Mars is in the chart. And when we see where Mars is in the chart, that will help us understand better how this life is going to be affected, right? So if we have Scorpio rising, then Scorpio is a water sign. So we have the energy of the warrior Mars moving into water. That's what we have with Scorpio. And Scorpio, of course, this sign is no joke. No joke. Because you have the power of water. Because water in and of itself is forceful enough to cut rock. When we think about the Grand Canyon, when we think about just all of the stones that are cut in the natural earth through the rushing of water, trees that are knocked down through the power of water moving, rushing. That's what you have with Mars and Scorpio. Water is introverted. So when we see Mars operating in Aries in its sign, you see fire, which is very vocal, is loud, is talking, is out, is moving. Everything is extroverted. Okay. With Scorpio, the energy is introverted. So there is a power that is within the Scorpio, because the Scorpio energy being introverted with water. So water is a spiritual sign. You're going to see uh, this person calculating and thinking strategically. Again, Mars is the ruler of warfare, and so when we think about warfare, we recognize there is strategy that has to take place in order for this warfare to happen. That's what you see in the sign of Scorpio. You see an energy that is calculating. So in the on the ascendant sign, it does not matter if they are an air sign sun, air sign moon. If that rising sign is in Scorpio, this is a person who needs to be in power, because Mars is the general, right? Mars is the general. So this is a person who needs to be in power, who is thinking about power, who is calculating and strategically planning. And then when you have the Scorpio energy, they may not be very vocal about it. Of course, it's going to depend where Mercury is and what's going on in the third house. They may not be very vocal about it, but you will see this body moving in alignment and moving into positions of authority and leadership in most every area of the life. That's what you will see with the Scorpio rising. It's a very powerful person. And if you meet them, you can see within their eyes that they are no joke if you pay attention. And with that, Scorpio energy, that Martian energy infused within the body, in particular, things. Mars is having a hard aspect to Uranus, Mars square Uranus. And that Scorpio ascendant person could have things happening in the physical body, rashes, cuts, accidents, things like that happen to the physical body. And so when Mars, when you study your astrology, when you study the horoscopes, you study the planets and the movements that are happening, then you take more care so that you can avoid the accidents and the car crashes and tripping and falling and hurting yourself when you are a Mars ruled person. Okay, so then the next sign I want to move to is Venus, because Venus rules the second house. So uh, Venus rules the sign of Taurus and Libra. So again, you have masculine, you have feminine, and you have masculine, because the air signs are masculine, the earth signs are feminine, water signs are feminine, and the fire is masculine. Okay, so when we have Venus in the sign of earth, we have a femininity there. So when we talk about Venus, we are number one, we are talking about um, self-esteem. We're talking about beauty. We're talking about gentility. We're talking about diplomacy. We are talking about um, finances, because finances are tied to the self-esteem. Finances that come in and flow into the life are tied to what you believe about yourself, what you believe that you are worth having, and you will draw into your life what you feel you are worth. Okay? So, if you have a Taurus rising sign, Taurus is earth, and Taurus is fixed earth. Okay, so Taurus is about stability, money, having security, knowing where uh, food is coming from. So when we think about earth, we are thinking about all of the earth signs want tangible, because it's earth, it's ground. We think about the earth, the ground, and things that we can see and touch and feel. So the earth is, they want tangible results. They want things they can see. They want things they can touch, things that are real. They need security to feel at peace and their best and to feel at ease. Okay. So Taurus, Venus ruled, all right, chart, Taurus on the ascendant. It does not matter if there is a Pisces sun, a Pisces moon. If you have Earth on the ascendant, Venus ruled, there is no talk about love, in love, let's be together, any of that, if it is not tied to stability, having money, food, peace of mind that comes with finances. That is what Venus in the sign of Taurus, this is, we're talking about the earth ruled chart with Venus being the ruler of the chart. Okay? That's what you have with earth. They want good sex, they want good food, they want stability, they want the house, they don't want a lot of changeability, they want things to be certain. And that's what you see. So with Libra, Libra is the other sign, air, that Venus rules. So with Venus ruling Libra, so in Libra sitting on the ascendant sign, you will have a person who loves to talk. They want to be diplomatic. Remember, the air signs are masculine. So with that, they, even though Libra is difficult a lot of times for them to make choices, it is still air. So air is going to be vocal, it's going to be talking to people, it's going to be socializing, where the earth is more introverted, air is extroverted. So with that, you're going to see with Libra on the ascendant, there is a need for beautiful things. That's both with Venus ruled Taurus ascendant and Venus ruled Libra charts. You're going to see these people, they love beauty. They need beauty around them. They feel the best because Venus rules beauty and art and luxurious things. So when you have, when we talk about the Libran uh, Venus rule chart, here's a person that they need to socialize. All the air signs need to be talking. They need to socialize. They need to get the air out, the breath out, the air. They need that. And they need to be communicating with people. It's death for them not to be. Venus ruled Earth does not need to be talking to a lot of people. They don't really like to have too many people around them. They are kind, right? Because Venus rules this gentility. So there is a quietness about the Taurus ruled, the Venus ruled Taurus ascendant chart. There is a quietness that is there. But you're not going to find them constantly talking, you know, and, just talking to be heard. Okay. So that's something that you're not going to see. with them, and you will see them um, focused on nice things, focused on peace, right? So with Taurus, it's the sign of the bull. So the bull is just grazing, and the bull is just wanting peace and quiet, and will not start anything unless you started with the bull. If you started, then the bull is going to finish it. The bull is going to finish it. So, with either one of these, if you have a Venus that is afflicted, a Venus that is challenged by Saturn, meaning a square to Saturn, a square to Pluto, opposition to Saturn, opposition to Pluto, opposition to Mars, a square to Jupiter. Um, when you see these types of things, then you know there is an issue in the chart with self-esteem. This is a person who does not know, depending on where the square is. Saturn square Venus is one of the hardest ones for women in particular, because they have experienced so much harshness that they may even question, should they be here? Should I be here on the planet? Do I deserve love? Always the question within of not deserving love, because Saturn can be so cold and Saturn can be so restrictive. So when you see someone who has this Venus squaring Saturn, be it, Libra or Taurus. Now, Libra is about justice, right? So when we see the scales of justice, Venus always wants that diplomacy. So when if we have a Venus ruled person with one of these hard aspects happening, then they may feel that their thoughts, their words, don't deserve to be heard. You know, they will give up their right to be right, their right to be seen, their right to be loved, to make the other person happy. Taurus will do that too, with the square. And the Libra, the Venus ruled Libran chart, you have a person with the square, who may be living in a way where things are just for the other person, you know, just to serve the other person, just for somebody to like them or be with them. Knowing that Libras and Taurans, they love beauty. This could be a person just living in the slums, living in dirt, living in filth, living in utter poverty, just to be with somebody who is not vibrating on the highest level. This is something that you could see with the square coming to Venus for a Venus rule chart. Okay, so, and vice versa, if we have Venus in a beautiful aspect, in a sextile or trine to Saturn, you have a person who is able to accomplish the most, who is able to go out and make money, build an empire, build some of the greatest things. But even with the square, that's the beauty of it. Once you understand the particular energies of the planets and you learn to work with the tools here on Earth, you can overcome. You can overcome the challenges to the chart ruler. All right, moving on. Mercury is the next one that I want to talk about. So when we have Mercury ruling in the feminine, We have Mercury ruling the sign of Virgo, which is the feminine earth sign. And then we have Mercury as the ruler of Gemini. So Mercury is the Lord of communication. All right. So with both of these signs, you are going to find a person who loves to talk, who loves to communicate. They need to. They need to. It is Mercury ruled ascendant. So they don't know life if they are not chit chatting, talking, sharing information. With Gemini, it is about gathering information. So Gemini is air, and represented by the twins, uh, Castor um, and his brother Pollux. And so we have the two twins that were just gathering information and sharing notes, even though they were separated by Zeus. When they would come together, they would only just share information. So with an ascendant sign, with a body that has come here under this energy of Gemini, this is a person who is just gathering information like a sponge, just to have information, just to be knowledgeable. All of the air signs are quick learners, quick gatherers of information. Both Gemini and Virgo are mutable, changeable signs. So that's one of the things that we see with them, is that with the ascendant, they need a lot of variation. Doing the same thing all the time, like the Taurus and the Scorpio in the fixed signs, doing the same thing all the time, they can't. They need to have change of pace. They need to have a change of environment. The physical body can change all the time, because that's what you have, with that Gemini energy. It's constant change, it's constant stimulation. So with that stimulation of thought, stimulation of people, stimulation of places, they need that. They need to be at the party, then they need to be at the library, and then they need to be traveling on the airplane and on the boat. And so that's what you see with Gemini on the ascendant. And then for Virgo, Virgo is the servant. She is about serving other people. She is very analytical. And I say she. So I'm saying Mercury in that earth sign. So again, that air sign of Gemini, it is extroverted, but Virgo is very critical in his thinking. So with Virgo, you may find Virgo ascendant, they are talking. They are talking as they are analyzing. That's the difference. So Gemini is talking, gathering information, and just talking because it has a lot of information. Virgo is talking typically to help other people, because they are about serving. So um, they are sharing information to help another person, even if the person doesn't want help. The Virgo will be talking, and the Virgo will be analyzing and being critical and breaking down things. That's the difference. Where Gemini is gathering information, the Virgo is breaking down information. It is dissecting information so that they can determine what is the best for themselves and the best for other people. So you will see them being hypercritical about things. This is not right, or why is she wearing that, and she doesn't need to do that. And but really, in their heart of hearts, they come with this critical energy, but It is because they want to see the very best in other people, and they are looking at things in an earthy, practical way. Not in the clouds, not in the dreams, but Virgo is a mutable sign too. So it can change, it can fluctuate, as far as what it wants to do, as far as the physical looks, the physical body. You may see the Virgo having difficulty eating things because with the sign of Virgo, we find that Virgo is going to rule the digestive area of the body, so they cannot, and they have very weird taste. Oftentimes, the Virgo rising people have challenging issues, with the digestive system. Don't like to eat certain foods very much, so you see that sort of thing happening with the Virgo rising. With the Gemini rising, again, the looks change. They could be big, they could be small, they could cut the hair, they could grow the hair long, they change, wear wigs, a red wig, a blue wig. You could see this type of thing happening with the Gemini rule chart. So if Mercury is a ruler of the chart, if you have again, Virgo rising or a Gemini rising, so with Mercury, if Mercury is afflicted, if Mercury is challenged by Saturn, by Mars, in a square opposition, you could find that these individuals may have difficulty with their speech, with speaking their truths. Oh my God, Virgo, Mercury square Saturn. People can be so negative, so dark, so harsh with their words towards themselves and towards other people. And and we learned, through the ancients, through Hermes Hermetic teachings, that the mind is all, and your words coming out of your mind, it creates that whole life, the pattern, a looping pattern of negativity and loss in such a great way. When we see these types of squares and challenging aspects to the Mercury ruled person, because Mercury rules communication in the mind. And here they are, oftentimes speaking damnation, sickness, pain, and loss upon themselves. And then, of course, it comes to them. And then they don't know where it came from. They created it oftentimes. And so, with that, that's an area that definitely needs to be healed. And I think like the biggest challenge for the Mercury ruled person, with the challenging aspect to Mercury, is realizing that they are the creators of their lives. They are the creators of what they have through their words and through their thoughts. But then once they do realize that, they can create amazing lives for themselves. They can change situations and change things that have been happening for all of their lives, because they have a superpower with Mercury being the ruler of their chart. There's the Lord of communication, and the mind is ultimately the ruler of what we manifest in the earth realm. So if we get that, then we can definitely begin to change the things that we see, that we have in our lives. Okay, so moving on from that, then we move to the beautiful moon. And I love the moon. I'm a fan of the moon, just in particular. I feel um, just enamored by the moon. The moon, of course, is feminine, and she rules one sign, and that is the sign of Cancer. So if you have Cancer on the ascendant, then Cancer is water. automatically there is an introvertedness that comes with the Cancer ruled person. And what I love about the glyph of Cancer, let me see if I can draw it for you real quick. I love it because in numerology, it is I'm looking for my pen. Of course, I don't have it because I need it. It's not here in my face. Okay, so I have a pencil. So, when we look at the tree of life, and I have one here. Let's see. Can you see it? Yeah, maybe. The light. So this is the moon in the tree of life, and this is the sun in the tree of life. The moon is number 9, and then the sun is number 6. And that's very interesting when we study it out, because the glyph of Cancer is the numbers 9 and number 6 turn on the side. All right. So what is the significance of that? So the moon, the mother moon, is our foundation. Okay. So it is through the moon that we learn what, our basic levels. When we come, we learn how to talk. We learn our environment. We learn to love our food. We learn to understand our culture. And we come into. This is all the moon. Our patterns that we loop through, throughout life. We keep doing the same things. We go back to the same food. We go back to the same type of a person. We expect love to look like this. We expect home to look like this. All of that is associated with the moon. And the moon reflects the light of the sun. So that's why I think that when we understand the symbology associated with all of these signs, for sure, all of the glyphs associated, but in particular the sign of Cancer, I love, because it is within the sign of Cancer that we realize that we need the fire, the sun, and the water, the moon, to create life, to give birth, right? So it is through the sign of Cancer. There is a hardness. When we link up Cancer, the crab, which is the animal that the ancients assigned to the sign of Cancer. So the crab has this hard shell on the outside, but inside there is a tenderness. And when we think of mother, that's the moon, right? Mother. We think of mother don't play. Mama don't play. Mama didn't play that, because mother had to be protector. Mother had to also have the softness to nurture, but to be strong, to lead the family. Think of the elephant, right? Elephant with all of the memories, to lead the matriarch, to lead the family in the right way. Very powerful is the moon, and the water, which represents the spirit, which represents that being introverted and going within and knowing intuitively what is right. That's mother. That's mama. She knows what the kids need. She knows how to make the home. Mother knows what to say to the baby intuitively, to her child intuitively, to get that child to get on the right path. It is mother, right, who is praying. That's the spirit who is praying and talking to God, about her baby. That's mother. That's the moon. And when we look at the moon, we know scientifically, common knowledge, that the moon rules the water on the earth. Rules the water on the earth. So a person who has a Cancer rising, whatever is happening with the moon is critical to what is going on in their lives. It's so important, to know what is happening with the moon, because the moon is so close to the earth, right? So the Cancer rising person, uh, if the moon is afflicted in any way, square to Saturn, same thing. Square to Saturn, conjunct Pluto, square to Pluto. The moon is so sensitive. Any planet that is connected to it is going to have an effect on the subconscious mind, the emotions. That's the thing with the moon. The emotions are up and down, right? With the moon. And they're never, it just because the moon cycles, right? So you don't see just this consistency as it relates to the moon. So that's the same thing you see with the Cancer rising person. Because the moon is the ruler of their chart. So what are they going to have? They're going to have a lot of ups and downs. They're going to have the emotions, going up and down. And their superpower is their intuitiveness that they have. Uh, when we look at the crab, the crab moves sideways, travels sideways, because the crab is filling out its environment. It knows it's got that hard shell for protection. And that's what you see with the Cancer rising person, that moon ruled person. You see them pretending to be hard, protecting their emotions, because they know how sensitive they are. They know how easily and how deeply they hurt. They cry privately. They cry secretly, even if they have, Capricorn, Sun, Moon. If you see a Cancer rising person or Moon in the first house person, this is a person who is so tender. Even though this is not her chart ruler, I'm thinking about my girl Cardi B, because Cardi B has her moon in the first house. And even though she is an Aries rising, so she is a Mars ruled person, right? And you can see that in her personality. You can see it in her body. You can see she was a dancer and she was doing all this movement. That's the Mars. But you see the moon sitting in the first house, but she cries all the time. She's so hurt when people talk about her. People she doesn't even know. She's so devastated that they would have the nerve to talk about her. Y'all need to be quiet, is what she's saying. Y'all need to don't talk about me and this and that. It really affects her. And that's what you see with a Cancer rising person. They're so sensitive to other people's words, right? There's this uber ultra tenderness to them. So for the Cancer rising people, and if they have hard aspects, and even if they don't, you know, it would be best. It would be best for them to have some grounding stones, some black tourmaline, uh, some stones that would help them come into alignment with their emotions, and some black tourmaline or some black obsidian, hematite, to help them ground down so they're not so easily fluctuated. So they're more connected to the earth, not so easily fluctuated and affected by the things that people say, the things that people are doing. Okay. So that's the Cancer rising people or moon ruled people. Now, then we move to Leo rising. So, Leo rising uh, is the sun. The sun rules the sign of Leo. So, with the sun, it is the brightest star that is the closest to the earth, right? It is the sun that all of the other planets orbit around. It is the sun that brings the light and the heat to this earth realm. And without it, we'd all be dead. And that is the energy that you see with the sun ruled person. So a Leo rising person is sun ruled. They need to be celebrated. They need to be they need applause. They need to perform. They need to be seen as the best. They need to have all of the answers. And it doesn't matter if it is a woman or a man. This is it is masculine. It's fire. It's masculine. Of course, the moon is feminine. Um, and again, like we said, the moon reflects the light of the sun. We know that. And we know that common knowledge, and then, but it's the same spiritually as well. But it's the sun that is the ego that we show outwardly, right? And then the moon is a very private part of us, but the sun is the part that is out for the world to see. And then, of course, with the Leo rising person, the sun rules the chart. So if the sun is in a hard aspect, if the sun is in a challenging aspect to conjunction to Saturn, square to Saturn, um, conjunct Mars, square Mars, opposition to Mars, opposition to Jupiter, square Jupiter. You know, with that sun's in a square to Jupiter for the sun ruled chart, these are people who religious beliefs have hurt the ego so badly that they don't know what they should believe or who they are, if they have the right to express themselves the way that they feel is best. Um, feeling guilt about being themselves, shining the way that they would like to shine in the world. Or feel that they are called to shine in the world, It's been the beliefs of other people placed on them that have caused them not to know who they are, not to believe that they are creating their own destiny, that they can move out freely, you know, oftentimes from the parents, or the dad or some preacher, really negatively affecting the ego. With Saturn square the sun for these sun ruled charts, here's a life that's just stuck, the ego, the self expression just stuck, you know, um, bound by Saturn, harsh words when they were growing up about who they are. Um, their, the sun is the very essence of the person, and so harsh words, harsh parents, harsh family members speaking against them, making them believe that there were nothing, can be nothing, can do nothing, has this person, you know, uh, stuck and not moving out in the world in the way that they could be or should be. Okay, so that's the sun, masculine fire. And then the last, let's see, Jupiter. So then the Jupiter ruled person. So with Jupiter, we have fire, and we have water. Jupiter rules the sign of Sagittarius and rules the sign of Pisces. And the sign of Sagittarius, here is this extroverted fire. And the sign of Pisces, here is this introverted water. So if we have the Jupiter ruled person who is Sagittarius rising, then we have a person who has a personality that is bigger than life. You know, Jupiter is about expansion and, uh, here's this big, huge personality coming out to meet us. There's no shyness there. There is no reserve, and it can be over the top, like super loud, super bold, super boastful, super um, optimistic. There's nothing that could fail. Everything they do is going to win, and God is on their side. And what is it that they can do? If I jump off this building, the angels are going to catch me. That's the Sagittarius rising personality. And it's fire, right? Which is, like I said, extroverted and just believes the best, super optimistic, and can be kind of like gullible too, believing that nothing can fail. Overly optimistic oftentimes. And then if we have the Pisces rising person, is water, very introverted. And Pisces, unlike the other two water signs, with the Scorpio, which is a scorpion, has a shell there. And then even once the Scorpio transforms into the phoenix and then into the eagle, there is a bird that can fly away. And then with Cancer, of course, there's a shell that's there. But with Pisces, a fish, there's no shell. There's no protection. There's no covering. So you have a soul that is so sensitive with the Pisces rising, right? Jupiter's there. So Jupiter, this expansive nature of Jupiter that we see outwardly with Sagittarius, we see that expansion go inside, inwardly. So you have a person they have a heightened ability to tap into the spirit realm. They have a heightened sense of awareness to the consciousness of the collective, to everything and everyone around them, to the spirit realm. This is where you see the mediums, and you see the people who see the extraterrestrials and beings on the other planes, and see ghosts and this type of thing. Because you have the expansion to the openness to the spirit realm. So Jupiter in Sagittarius is the religious preacher, dogmatic about this religion, and they're preaching and they're standing on the stage with a microphone, going about, heaven or hell or whatever it is that they teach. You'll hear them going on about whatever it is that they believe. But with the Pisces ruled, Jupiter ruled chart, you see a person who is much more introverted. They have their spiritual beliefs, and it grows right within them. Um, but very tender, very sensitive, can be hurt very easily, can have escapist tendencies, very much so. Escaping the real world because it's hard down here, it's painful down here. So this is where you see a lot of times drug addictions to escape the realities of the harsh world, uh, food addictions, sex addictions, any kind of addictions that allow escape from the reality of the harsh world. So if you have the Jupiter square Saturn, um, a Jupiter, you know, it could actually over time be a blessing to have the Jupiter square Saturn with either the Sagittarius ruled or the Pisces ruled, because Saturn has the ability, though painful, it has the ability to be more realistic oftentimes than if the Jupiter is just sitting there unaspected, or if it's sitting there with Venus, um, there is, a likability to these people typically, because people just come up to you. They want to be around you because Jupiter makes them feel so good. However, there is that part where you don't want to look at reality. So the square to Saturn, the conjunction with Saturn, even the opposition with Saturn, gives the opportunity to face reality, much, much more. But it can bring a limitation or a uh, a block for some time to creativity. It can bring a block in having faith, and having faith in the unseen, and having faith in that things will just turn out okay. Jupiter by itself typically believes that, but when Saturn is touching it and talking to it and aspecting it, then you may find doubt that anything good is ever meant. There is, a criticalness, and even a thought like, God doesn't care about us, the universe doesn't care about us. That's what we could see with these Jupiter ruled charts with the harsh aspects. And then lastly, Saturn. Saturn ruled chart. Saturn, the feminine within Saturn is, you'll see it in Capricorn, Earth, feminine, and then you'll see Saturn ruling Aquarius, which is air, so it's masculine. Saturn is this planet of harshness. Saturn is seen as Father Time, as Chronos. Uh, Saturn is the first planet when we talk about the Hermetic teachings of the tree of life. So Saturn is the first planet that we see, the first planet that is numbered. And Saturn is a planet of manifestation. So nothing manifests without coming through Saturn. And it is Saturn that is about stark realities. Saturn is not about dream world. Saturn is about doing the work, getting the work done, getting it done on time, responsibility, being ethical, being honorable. Saturn is not about being jokey and being in the dream world, not having it. Saturn in the sign of Capricorn is represented by the goat. So Saturn ruled people versus a Capricorn ascendant person is mostly very serious. When you walk up to them and you see them and you start talking to them, they're typically not all smiley, jokey. There is a seriousness about them. Saturn has that very serious energy. And the goat, if we think about the goat climbing the steep mountain, 200-pound goat climbing to the top, it does not matter what things get in the way. It does not matter that they could fall off of the top of the mountain. They were made to climb. And that's what you have with the Capricorn ascendant people. They want tangible evidence. All the earth signs, they need tangibility, they need stability, they need to know I'm going to have a place to live. They need to know I'm going to have my car, my bills are going to be paid, and I'm going to eat and have good sex. So with the Capricorn, that is what you see. You see them constantly thinking about building and moving to the top and always coming up with a plan to build. They are the builders, right? So Earth is feminine and it is introverted. So they are not doing a bunch of chit chatting and talking most of the time, unless it's some other mercurial aspects going on. But typically, these people are not very chit chatty. They are about business. They are thinking about business, and they don't have time really for a whole lot of fluff. And but they lead, they build. Saturn in Aquarius, air sign. So this is a Saturn ruled a person, the Aquarius, but they are very talkative. All of the air signs are very talkative. But where you see Saturn show up in Aquarius rising people, is that they are able to detach. They are able to separate themselves. And though, Aquarius is air and it is the water bearer, so they are humanitarian and they are about friendship. They are about building stable friendship, long lasting friendships. That's where Saturn is, right? Because Saturn is about building things that last. So when Aquarius people are your friend, they will be your friend. Like they don't throw friendships away. So like if you are dating, an Aquarius rising person or a person who has a lot of Aquarius in their chart, they want to be friends too. And they will be friends. They date people who are their friends. And friends and lovers are all the same. And even if they stop being lovers, they'll still be friends, because Saturn brings this longevity to whatever it's involved in. And that's in the sign of Aquarius too. So an Aquarius is fixed energy. There's a stubbornness there to that Aquarius energy, even though it is air. Aquarius will detach, though. They will be able to separate themselves from the emotions of. And typically, all of the air signs can do that, but Aquarius more so. The same as Capricorn, they can detach from the emotions. That is the coldness that comes from Saturn. So Aquarius can be serving humanity from a place of wanting to help other people, right? So they're the water bearer. They have one foot in the water, they have one foot on the earth, they are surrounded by the stars. So they have this insight that comes from being connected to the spirit realm, but they are able to detach the emotions that go along with it. And you can find that in Aquarius too. So, if you have Saturn in the first house, Saturn is the chart ruler. And so when I think about Saturn being the chart ruler, Saturn is the one that brings the affliction. So I'm thinking about what planet would be affecting Saturn in such a way that it would be hindered. Saturn is the lord of karma. Saturn really is the boss of all the planets, because, like I said, no manifestation happens without it. And it is the first planet that is named, in the tree of life from in the Kabbalah, from the Hermetic teachings. So if Jupiter squares Saturn, Saturn is the one that is causing the challenging effects to any planet that it touches. But if we had to name something that might challenge Saturn, it might be the outer planets, the modern rulers, which are Pluto, Uranus, Neptune. Because the further out a planet is from Earth, the more power it has. So if a modern ruler was affecting Saturn with a square, um, then this person, the Saturn ruled person, let's say Saturn is in a square to Uranus. So or conjunct Uranus. So the person who is typically very steady, strong, solid, going one particular way, with a square to Uranus, you have this person now up and down, moving all the time, not able to keep a job, does not want anybody to tell them what to do, does not appreciate order and structure. Because Saturn is about order and structure, following the traditional rules. But now we have Uranus coming in here with the square to Saturn, or a conjunction to Saturn. Now you have a person who can't sit still, who is always changing and, unable to lock it down. If Neptune there is in a conjunction or a square with Saturn, Neptune dissolves whatever he touches. So again, you have a dissolving of solidness of the traditional dependability of the Saturnian person when you have Neptune coming in here in a challenging aspect. And then Pluto is all about power and control. So if there is a square to Pluto, Saturn ruled person having a square to Pluto, you're going to have a person who has a major disrespect for authority, and they don't want anybody to tell them what to do. They have to be free to work on their own. They can't work for anybody else, not ever. So, and then for their teachers, they try to tell the teacher what to do. That's what you have, with this type of situation. They have to be the teacher. They can't have anybody else teaching them. So, that is typically, so that's pretty much, that's everything. So I covered a lot of information, and I hope that this was helpful. If it was, please like, subscribe, and share. I know it was a long video, but I don't want to chop it up, and I feel like, as the Kabbalion says, when the ear is ready, the lips will come to teach it. So if you are called to this information, if you are called to hear it, then it is here for you. And I thank you for watching, and have a blessed night. And I will talk to you later.